They've done a needs analysis type set of questions, and then they provided a score, a percentage out of 100. And what that does is that it helps the client to identify and spot and put their finger on, okay, so this is why this thing doesn't feel like it's working well. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, right? So it gives them a score. And when you apply that methodology onto more tangible things like sales results, numbers, company growth, it's even more powerful. So if you think about it, I used to do digital marketing for gyms, and the typical gym in my area would make about $2 million a year. I used to have a gym that used to make $8 million a year. So 4 times larger, same audience. They were just charging more and they had more clients. I went to go speak to them one day. I said, what are you doing? Their conversion rate was like 97%, they told me. I said, why is your conversion rate 97%? They said, well, whenever anyone walks into our gym off the street or whatever, we've got this body scanning thing. And typically it costs $30, which does. Every other gym would sell this scanning service for $30. But we want to give you one scan for free. And the scan tells you basically how unfit you are. And it tells you, it pokes all the pain points and it puts a magnifying glass onto like your visceral fat. So your visceral fat is the fat around your organs. It's a very, very real measurement that leads to all the problems that you don't want to have, like diabetes, being lethargic and short lifespan. It identifies issues like your liver, which then affects your eyesight, like all these terrible things that you just don't want to have in your life. When someone sees that, they say, wow, I need to do something about my health now. So it's need, emotion, urgency, all in one document. And then they pay whatever they're asked to pay to join the gym at that point.
But I am the world's biggest super fan.
You're like a super fan.
Welcome to the Business Superfans podcast. We will discuss how establishing business superfans from customers, employees, and business partners can elevate your success exponentially. Learn why these advocates are a key factor to achieving excellence in the world of commerce. We discuss the invaluable insights of business owners who have successfully implemented the strategies in the book to build their own team of devoted superfans. Gain insightful knowledge from the experts who create applications that help you create passionate superfans. This is the Business Superfans podcast with your host, Freddy D.
Freddy!
Maxwell Nee is the Chief Revenue Officer of Score App, a quiz marketing platform with 6,800 paying clients. He's also a multi-award-winning entrepreneur, bodybuilder, and dancer. He's been featured in TV, radio, Forbes, Singapore's The Business Times, and the Australian Business Review.
Welcome, Maxwell Nee from Score App to the Business Superfans podcast. We're excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Freddy.
So tell me a little bit about your journey, the story of where you came from and how did you end up being Chief Revenue Officer at Score App, which is a really cool lead generation and customer engagement app.
Yeah, good question. So I used to own the business coaching consulting business, and at its peak, we were doing about $250,000 a month. We had 23 team members, had an 80% profit margin at some point, but I was working like crazy hours to make that happen. And to sustain that, we needed about 2,000 leads per month. So I was always looking for an edge, always looking for something that could help us to generate more highly qualified leads. Then I came across quiz marketing. Back then, we Frankensteined our own quiz marketing because Score App didn't exist. So we put together a form with some logic and then Google Sheets and manual calculations and spreadsheets, and one jumped to another. Then we got to spit out the result. And then my friend, the founder of Score App, Daniel Priestley, emails me one day, hey, Max, check this out. It was basically like a pitch deck. We've built this app called Score App. We're looking to accelerate it. Would you like to invest? So I started as an investor in Score App.
Really?
And yeah, so I put some money in. I already knew that was going to work because I have 1,000 clients. I literally had 1,000 clients for my coaching business back then that I could port over. And then I ported them over, increased my investment, which is fantastic. So now I've taken the mantle of Chief Revenue Officer to help us grow in this region. So I'm based in Asia Pacific. Pretty much all the team is based in London and Europe. So I cover this part of the world.
Great backstory. So tell us a little bit about how Score App operates, lead generation and customer engagement. So let's break them into two segments. Let's first talk about lead engagement, because you got to first get leads before you get customers. Then what makes it unique from other apps in the marketplace, and how can it benefit businesses from the attraction marketing aspect?
Yeah, good question. First, I like to distinguish what's a lead. A lead is someone that puts their hand up and they say, hey, Freddy, here's my contact details, name, phone number. I'm potentially interested to buy what you have to sell. Maybe not now, but here's my information because so you can contact me. And I'd love to stay in touch and follow you, right? So that's a lead. And how do you generate a lead? What's a lead magnet? You need something that converts an audience or traffic. An audience might be people on a podcast or people searching on social media, or even just in person at a conference or trade show or whatever else. Converting that person, an action that you give them so that they give you their information. That's the lead magnet. And typical lead magnets are like a free ebook, a discount code, an invitation to an event, a workshop, an invitation to book a call, might be a trade of business cards if it's in person, right? That typically works at about 10% of a conversion rate. So your ideal audience, 10% of them, you got to speak to 10 before someone will give you their information. Now, what we've found is that quiz marketing converts at 20 to 40% for the same audience, same leads, same everything else, which is great. So that means you've got your potential buyers list could be double to quadruple, 2 to 4 times bigger. Then a lot of people ask me, why does that work so well? That's a big jump. And it works well because if you think about the textbook example of a quiz funnel or quiz marketing platform, it's one example is like the personal trainer example. So there's 3 body types, small, medium, large. Find out which body type you are specifically so that you can get personalized coaching and training to hit your specific body goals. So a quiz can do all of that because it does a needs analysis, right? So just like when you go to the doctor and you're like, I'm sick, he says, what's wrong with you? And you say, I don't know. Then he says, does your throat hurt? Are you coughing? Are you sleeping?
All the questions.
All the questions, right? So that's what it does. A quiz funnel is a needs analysis as well as a fun, engaging, 2-way personalized transaction for the lead. So you put that all together and then you get a very high conversion rate because people love to discover about themselves. They'd love to know, okay, that's Freddy's score. What's my score, right? And also, if that's the average, where do I sit on the average? Right? That's what makes it very, very compelling.
Yeah. You remind me of the old days in sales where we would do in-person sales. And it's really what it was. A good sales guy or gal would ask a lot of questions and would direct the questions where they wanted the conversation to go. And based upon that feedback of the answers, then they would tree down whatever direction you needed to go to. So what you've done is you've taken that whole process and actually automated that aspect of what I used to do when I did one-on-one sales or group sales, where I would go into an organization and we would have a meeting to demonstrate manufacturing software. I would say, okay, Mike, what's your objectives out of today's meeting? So what are your challenges? And Steve, what are yours? John, what are yours? I would get everybody's feedback. And when we would finish our presentation, I would go back and say, okay, Steve, did we address your needs of what you're looking for? John, did we accommodate that? So basically what I was doing is closing them based upon the questions that I asked from the beginning and then the questions I asked at the end. And you're doing the same thing, but in an automated, smart way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I can tell, and everyone can tell from the way that you speak, you've got oodles of experience, Fred. So if you think about a sales conversation, let's say it typically takes you an hour to go through that process. All we've done is we've put into a software where there's a free, medium, low, high paid version. And the first 15 minutes of that hour can be done with this software rather than you going in cold every single time. And you use that, the value that you provide in that first 15 minutes as a lead magnet.
Yeah, because now you've got the information and then you can skew your answers through your platform as to how they answer the type of questions. You can present them with the type of answers that they need that moves them down that whole process.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So now let's take that into customer engagement and how does a platform engage with customers? And then what I would call transform them into super fans to where they're saying, man, this company really takes care of us. We love this company. And, oh, Steve, you need to talk to Maxwell because he's got a great solution that could benefit your company. And so now you've got these, what I call super fans or brand advocates on steroids, but I like them as a super fans. It's cooler. And they're out there as your sales force, and it's costing you nothing for them to be doing that. So let's talk about how SCORE can help manifest that.
Yeah. So if you think about, so what I hear, what you're saying is amazing customer service. How can you have remarkable customer service that's just like fairy dust on top of an experience that just makes you stand out from the crowd? How do you be the 7-star hotel of whatever you're doing, whatever industry you're in? For me, not all of the answer, but a lot of the answer is in one word, which is personalization. If I was to log on to Amazon.com and you were to log on to Amazon.com, Freddy, we would both see completely different websites because they've personalized, they've used all of our lead magnets, all of our data, all of our needs analysis, the thousands of purchases over the years that personalize the exact thing that I want to see, that you want to see, so that they provide like that 7-star service that just sort of follows you and caters to you automatically. So SCORE app can help you to do that. So what it does is that it gathers data-rich information, whether it's on a new opportunity or an existing client. A lot of people provide scorecards for their clients during their client journey. So like beginning, middle, and end, like a customer survey, so that they can keep tweaking and sharpening their service, their delivery, how their sales team communicates, everything.
Sure, because in reality, the sale begins at the onboarding process. Getting the deal is the easy part. The hard part is getting a smooth onboarding process, creating a solid customer experience for the employees of the customers, setting proper expectations for those organizations and those employees, and more importantly, management. So you create super fans out of the employees that are going to actually use the technology because you set the proper expectations for implementation with management. And so now that changes the whole dynamics because these guys will say, SCORE app has got our back on this stuff because it's going to take us a bit to get this implemented into our system, into our organization. We still have to run business as we did the old way because we can't stop and spend time to get this implemented. So yeah, it's very important, that whole aspect of it that you just discussed.
Yeah. So I'll share an example of how we do it, right? So we're a SaaS company. We've got 7,000 clients all around the world. We need a very big room to fit them all into the room. Those are the paying clients. We've also got close to about 100,000 on the free account list. And
me being one of them right now.
Yeah, you being one of them. Thank you. Our internal mantra is that we want to force our clients to be successful. So we're constantly looking at feedback. We're looking at our reviews. We're looking at our exit forms, client onboarding forms, to take all that information into actions to really provide that next level of service for our clients. One example that we've taken upon ourselves is, all of our customer service team, there's about 7 people on the team constantly replying to things, are real people. They're all real people. We aren't up to the AI chatbots yet. For our English audience, English is their first language. They're in English-speaking countries. For our Spanish audience, Spanish is their first language. They're in Spanish-speaking countries, right? So we've got multiple languages. And also we have a weekly workshop, just like on a Zoom call, just like this. If you want to just talk to someone, then jump on that, happen the same time every week. And you get to jump on there and also learn what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, and I wanted to just reemphasize that for our listeners is that's really important to have that open medium so that your customers can come in. And more importantly, it also gives them the ability to perhaps collaborate with other customers And so that potentially opens up opportunities for partnerships. But at the same time, you're developing those relationships using today's technology to build those relationships. So it's one-on-one / one-on-many.
Exactly. So you really
We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by the Thrive Together Network, your weekly virtual meetup for business owners eager to connect, collaborate, and drive sustainable growth. Are you tired of networking groups that feel like glorified business card exchanges, or worse, a breakfast club disguised as business networking? Sick of awkward elevator pitches, strict attendance rules, or feeling pressured to pass referrals, even when you don't have valid ones to give to fellow members? We get it. Too many networking groups are bogged down with endless rules, cliques, and routines that don't deliver results. It's time for a refresh. The Thrive Together Network is different. Here you'll find like-minded entrepreneurs who skip the fluff and focus on building real, meaningful connections. This isn't about tallying referrals or adhering to rigid protocols. It's about sharing opportunities, championing each other's brands, and creating a community where your business can soar. Start your week with unstoppable momentum, backed by people who actually care about your success. Don't waste another week trapped in a networking rut. Head to thrivetogether.network and join the Thrive Together Network now, because when businesses unite, success becomes unstoppable. Welcome back to the Business Superfans podcast.
they're leveraging your time.
Right. Very cool. So, Maxwell, share the story of a success of one of your customers that implemented the Score app into their business, and how did that transform their business?
Yeah. So what a score app is particularly, it's good at a lot of things, but what it's really good at is that it's good at making the intangible tangible. So for example, if you sell an intangible service like personal branding, like you sell a personal branding kit, or you might sell emotional trauma healing. We've got 2 good customer testimonials on the website where they've created a scorecard. They've done a needs analysis type set of questions, and then they provided a score, a percentage out of 100. And what that does is that it helps the client to identify and spot and put their finger on, okay, so this is why this thing doesn't feel like it's working well. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, right? So it gives them a score. And when you apply that methodology onto more tangible things like sales results, numbers, company growth, it's even more powerful. So if you think about it, I used to do digital marketing for gyms, and the typical gym in my area would make about $2 million a year. I used to have a gym that used to make $8 million a year. So 4 times larger, same audience. They were just charging more and they had more clients. I went to go speak to them one day. I said, what are you doing? Their conversion rate was like 97%, they told me. I said, why is your conversion rate 97%? They said, well, whenever anyone walks into our gym off the street or whatever, we've got this body scanning thing. And typically it costs $30, which does. Every other gym would sell this scanning service for $30. But we want to give you one scan for free. And the scan tells you basically how unfit you are. And it tells you, it pokes all the pain points, and it puts a magnifying glass onto like your visceral fat. So your visceral fat is the fat around your organs. It's a very, very real measurement that leads to all the problems that you don't want to have, like diabetes, being lethargic, and short lifespan. It identifies issues like your liver, which then affects your eyesight, like all these terrible things that you just don't want to have in your life. When someone sees that, they say, wow, I need to do something about my health now. So it's need, emotion, urgency, all in one document. And then they pay whatever they're asked to pay to join the gym at that point.
What they're doing is they're using that as their loss leader. So
Yeah.
that's a brilliant way of using a loss leader, because actually it's making them huge amounts of money. It's like here in the United States, I'm sure you've heard of Costco. I think it's in Australia as well. But here in the United States, you can get the rotisserie chicken still today for $5.
Oh yeah, and the hot dogs, right?
Yeah, and the hot dog's
Yeah.
$1.50. So
Yeah.
that just reels you in, and then you're in Costco, and who walks out of just spending $5? Nobody.
Yeah. It's a bit like IKEA. You walk into
Right.
IKEA, then you got to walk out the maze the other side. and then all of a sudden you've got 3 times as much furniture in your house.
Exactly. No, it's a great story. My wife and I, we had a business for a little while where we were helping people get listed in online directories like Yelp and a multitude of other online directories. We were the first ones to, focus customers into vertical directories, so automotive, medical, etc. We were developing a tool that would go out, scan the internet based upon their information and present their score. We called it a cloud score. And what was your local cloud was the whole idea. Same thing when people say, wow, I'm not listed, nobody can find me. What do we got to do to fix it? Sale was done. So I completely see where this is a huge tool leveraged properly. So what's it take to get Score implemented into a business?
Not a lot. It used to take about a day and a half for someone to set this up. It was a bit like setting up a website. A lot of stuff you could fiddle with. You got to jump in, or like a Facebook account from scratch and setting everything up. So yeah, it used to take about a day and a half, but we've since implemented the AI wizard. All you need to do is you do a needs analysis, and then it'll write about 6 to 7 hours of copywriting for you and structure a marketing campaign for you in a few minutes. So we've gotten it down to maybe 20 minutes to an hour. And then it'll write basically draft 1, 2, and 3 for you. And then you need to go in and do your final edits.
Wow. I'd say 2 years, things have evolved dramatically. Yeah. I use AI tools all the time to help clean up my podcast shows and other things that I do. And it's a game changer. But the catch is you got to really know how to communicate with it.
Yeah. So
garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
The rule's the same 30, 40 years. Was the same rule when I first got started in the tech world. Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, it's a tool, right? It's like a calculator. But if you put the wrong numbers into a calculator, you're going to get the wrong numbers out. So yeah.
Let me switch gears here. How can this be utilized for employees?
Yeah, so we have people that use it for recruitment, because in recruitment, there's a lot of filtering, right? So it can do a lot of filtering. Employees use it for KPIs, customer performance reviews, all that type of thing. And then, obviously the sales and marketing side, closing more sales. Then we also have people that use it for, especially if anyone does like events. So for example, if you do like a town hall for your organization once a month or once a quarter or once a year, you want to have people register for the event, but then you probably also want to use that conversion event to ask them some questions and put them through a scorecard.
I'm going to go back to the employees for a second, because I think that the platform could be utilized to track the sentiment of the team regarding the organization. And you could probably do it anonymously. As you know, management sometimes can operate in their own little world, and the workforce may have a completely different perception. Some of well-managed companies that I've worked with, they always engaged with their team to get feedback of what they could do better. I'm a firm believer that a good manager's job is to ensure that their team is successful. And if their team is successful and become super fans of the company, management doesn't have to worry. The teams will take care of it. You look at Sir Richard Branson, the guy's out on his island. He's out on cruise ship, having fun with the customers.
Going to space.
Going in space, all that stuff. Who's doing all the work? Well, he's empowered his team to handle all the things. So this is a great tool that I see that can work not only for generating new business, but really building your existing stakeholders, which is all of the ecosystem within an organization. You can use it for your supply chain. Likewise, if you got a distribution channel. So this has got a lot of abilities to really help any business understand their whole ecosystem of their business.
Yeah, exactly. Internal survey tool, satisfaction, measuring all the intangibles, sentiment. Yeah.
And same again with complementary businesses. You think of a construction company, you got flooring and painting and plumbing and electrical. How's that working? How's that partnership going? What's the feedback from the customers from all these different companies that came in under a general contractor, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So do you have another story that you can share with our listeners here about other ways that the Score app can be applied and really transform the business?
Yeah. So let me think. I mainly got lead generation stories.
That's fine.
Yeah. So we do have a very left field one. So we had this client on the website that's offered little outdoor camping homes, like a little wooden home, like glamping, a wooden home, but it was mobile, a bit like a removable home.
Glamping, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a camping with a toilet, right? With a
Right.
real toilet, basically. And they delivered a scorecard where they said, "Are you ready for the glamping life?" And it just exploded. It exploded their business. Their business went from less than $1 million to 8 digits for tens of millions in sales. That's a very, very niche audience, niche offer. I wouldn't take that scorecard. Like, I just wouldn't need to know that. But, I'm not in their target audience. It just did really, really well. There's huge pockets of opportunity where people want to learn about themselves. And Score App is just like the horizontal layer that can help you reveal and dig into those pockets.
That's an interesting story. I mean, that's a big success story, really.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're super fans of the Score app. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that story is actually written in this book, Scorecard Marketing.
Okay.
If we can actually give out free copies of that book. So we have a bunch of physical ones if you like. If not, we can get you out a PDF copy as a freebie.
If you open up my next questions, or one of my questions was, what is the free offer that you have for our listeners? So it sounds like that would be the electronic version would be a great offer for our listeners.
Yeah. So if you jump on to Score App, SCOREAPP.com/book, we'll get that out to you. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. You talk about accountants, financial advisors, looks like a multitude of different types of people. So let's expand upon that a little bit.
Yeah. So it works really well for coaches, consultants, service providers, thought leaders, any type of digital entrepreneur. So if you do business on Zoom, it'll probably work really well for you, right? Or if you can do business on Zoom. And one example is there's a few people that have different versions of something that might be called like the 5 types of wealth, which is not just money wealth, it's health, relationships, freedom, impact, all that type of thing. Those do very well because everyone wants more wealth. It doesn't matter which field it is. So everyone wants to know what they can do to really laser in on the type of wealth that they want more of. That one in particular does really well. And it's been called different things. The 5 types of wealth, the wheel of life, right?
Right, I've heard of the wheel of life. Yeah.
Yeah, the wheel of life, right? Discover your genius as well. Which genius is your strengths, your weaknesses. A lot of a scorecard that most people would have done, whether it's in your first job or you're in university or during high school, that type of thing, is the personality quiz, the textbook university personality quiz. That's the front end of the scorecard when we fill out a personality quiz. But on the back end, when you sign all those disclaimers and everything else, what you don't know is that your information is then being distributed to all these universities so they can keep doing their research on the human population. That is a really good example, macro example of scorecard marketing.
Sure. Yeah. As you made me think of, because I've had some HR people that talked about doing personality tests for employees and things like that. So this platform would work very well to being able to do that and find the ideal employee that would fit within the culture of the company, so that you maintain that culture and expand that culture, which, an ideal culture propels success for a company.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of great information there, Maxwell, for our listeners. You've given a lot of insights on different ways that they can use Score, and appreciate the time on the show. How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, good question. So I am addicted to LinkedIn. So if you want to get me, I'll most likely be active on LinkedIn at that point in time. Maxwell Nee is what you can search. And I'm the only one on there with that name.
Any last parting bits that you want to tell our listeners?
No, the only thing I would say is if you're interested to learn more, just jump on the website, register a free account, and then you'll start getting all the bits and bobs to give you what you need to see how we can help you win with this software.
Thank you so much for being a guest on the show, Maxwell. Appreciate it very much. And we will look to have you on the show down the road.
Yeah, thank you, Freddy. Cheers.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Business Superfans podcast. If you found today's conversation valuable, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and share this episode with someone who could use these powerful insights to level up their business. Remember, creating Business Superfans isn't just about your customers. It's about fostering genuine, impactful connections across your entire business ecosystem. When you invest in those relationships, success doesn't just happen, it accelerates. Until next time, I'm your host, Freddy D. Let's keep building superfans, creating unstoppable momentum, and driving your business toward extraordinary success. See you in the next episode.
We hope you took away some useful knowledge from today's episode of the Business Superfans podcast. The path to success relies on taking action. So go over to businesssuperfans.com and get your hands on the book if you haven't already. Join the Accelerator community and take that first step in generating a team of passionate supporters for your business. Join us on the next episode as we continue guiding you on your journey to achieve flourishing success in business.